At McAfee, we understand that life doesn't stop when something in your home breaks down. Our customers count on us to be there, ready when they need us.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, sir. I have all the information I need.
Great, thanks. Just lock the door on the way out.
Thank you.
Let us get your home up and running again. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee. At McAfee, we understand that life doesn't stop when something in your home breaks down. Our customers count on us to be there, ready when they need us.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, sir. I have all the information I need.
Great, thanks. Just lock the door on the way out.
Thank you.
Let us get your home up and running again. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
Sports fans, it's been a couple of weeks. Hello and welcome to the TKDS Sports Network and Sports Now. Jackson Lightcap with you, excited to bring you the next episode of Sports Now. It's our first episode of the month of July, and we are chugging along through the summer months as right around the corner, football season will be kicking off here just before you know it. So super excited about that. A whole lot going on the network and a busy show coming up for you today. Once again, I'm Jackson Lightcap. Matthew Pennington, we're hoping would be able to make it out today. He was not. He will be here next week. I know he's missed about the last couple of months of shows, but he's had some personal reasons come up, and we'll hopefully be able to get him back next week. As for myself, this is our first show within the last couple of weeks, and ultimately, it has just been a hectic and busy couple of weeks. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I'll be quite honest, put something out on Twitter that I want to be able to do the show, completely lost my voice, was struggling to talk, and then last weekend, I had some personal health concerns arise, and unfortunately, was not able to do the show. Everything is okay on my end, was in great care. Obviously, a week later gone by, feel perfectly normal, back to my old self, so super excited about that. But yeah, so obviously, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks, we were not able to produce a show. So with that being said, we certainly have quite a bit to catch up on. There's a lot going on in the sports world. There's a lot going on in the TKDS Sports Network world. We've mentioned this a couple of times on the show, but over the last couple of weeks before we took that 2-week break, during that 2-week break, we were in a little bit of discussions on what we are going to try to achieve of this show, and discussions are underway to try to evolve this show for the upcoming 2023-2024 high school sports season. And a lot ultimately is just evolving. And one thing I've already announced on this show we're going to try to go to more of a guest-friendly show. We're going to try to have more guests be pulled in so that we can do more interviews. And instead of me and Matt, or Matt and I guess is the correct English, just rambling on, we're going to be able to bounce some ideas off of some special guest hosts, some special guest stars, some special guest interviewers. So we're super excited about that. We're going to bring on a lot more guests on this show, and obviously over the last couple of years, Matt and I and the entire TKDS Sports Network feel like we have increased, I'm trying to find the words, but we've increased who we are able to possibly find. But with that being said, more of that to come. We're going to step aside, and we're going to be back here in just a few moments. Alrighty, sorry about that, folks. Sorry for the long pause, but going back to what we were saying about before we took that long pause and that long break, something came up, had to deal with it real quick. But before we took that long pause and that long break, we were talking about we're trying to evolve this show, Sports Now show, to make it a little bit more appealing for the fans back at home. And like I said, that means we're going to have a lot more guests come on. We certainly have been able to make many, many connections Matt and I both have over the last year or so, and we're super excited to see what that's going to entail, bringing on a bunch more guests onto this show. And not to mention, this show we've already announced will be going back on camera. And now what we're talking about within the Sports Now show is we are trying to plan out when this show will take place. We could be changing the time up a little bit. We could be changing up the days. There's talks that this show could be an everyday show, Monday through Friday. There's talks that it could be a 3-day-a-week show. There are talks that it may stay 1 day a week. There's a lot of talks on what we want to do with this Sports Now show, whether it will be an everyday show on video, depending on the time, yada, yada, yada. So there are a lot of things being planned out, but we already have figured out a way to get this show back on video like it was when we first started. We've already found a way to try to change this from a little bit more information to starting to get information from some of the local coaches, hopefully some of the local athletes, and so forth. So we're super excited to see what Sports Now is going to bring to the table here for the TKDS Sports Network over the next month or so, as once we start moving into August and start gearing up and starting to get ready for the upcoming football season, that is when we are going to start seeing some of these changes take place within this show. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry for the once again, I hugely apologize for the delay, but we also are sorry that we haven't been able to be on as consistent as possible. We're trying to get out updates as much as possible, but of course the summer months a little bit slower. Matt has had some stuff going on, vacation as well as myself. I've been out of town working boat racing a lot, so we're trying super hard to keep up with that, and that's one of the things that we are going to start doing more consistently once this show is transformed into what we are hoping it'll become coming up soon. So yeah, we're super excited to see what the TKDS Sports Network and Sports Now should bring to the table here over the next month to month and a half. Super excited to see what is in store, because this show, again, it's going to be big. So there's also some talks that there's also a lot of talks that are also in the works that I will not be talking about right now. I will not be able to announce it right now, but we will be able to hopefully announce it here in the upcoming weeks. But anyway, moving on, this show will last till 5 p.m. Once again, this show will only last until 5 p.m., and we got a lot to talk about. We haven't been on in 3 weeks, and we also had a huge delay in between, so we are super, super excited to see. I'm super excited to have this show. I know if I had a nickel for every time I said excited or but yeah, no, we have quite a bit coming up on this show. Of course, boat racing is in full season. The U.S. Title Series just coming off their third race of their circuit of the season up in Constantine, Michigan 2 weekends ago. This weekend on the TKDS Sports Network, you might have seen it floating around the social media pages. It was the Stigler Showdown from Stigler, Oklahoma. Kevin and I went down to cover that event. Got home real late last night, 5 a.m. in the morning. So we left there about 3 a.m. Central Time, or 3 p.m. Central Time. Got back here around 5 a.m. Eastern Time. So, but yeah, we're back home. I'm well rested. I can't speak for Kevin. I haven't talked to him today. I'm sure that he's probably still sleeping. But the Stigler Showdown was yesterday, so we're going to get into all of that action. And then we're also going to talk about how about the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds are heading into the All-Star break with a 1-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers in first place. And now I know Matt and I have had high hopes and higher expectations for the Cincinnati Reds coming into this season. My beginning of the season record prediction was 82-80, But they've completely exceeded what Matt and I both thought, and I think they've completely exceeded what everybody thought that the Cincinnati Reds would bring to the table this season. They were a 100-loss team a season ago. For the second time in franchise history, they lost 100 games. Heading into this year, they're 50-41 at the All-Star break. And not to mention the fact that they are a game ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't think that you could have asked for a better start to the season. Now, I know the last series in Milwaukee was a little disappointing for the Cincinnati Reds, but at the same time, you got to look at the big picture and look at heading into the All-Star break. The Reds are in first place of the NL Central. It has been a phenomenal season for Cincinnati. And it's been led, and what's been the most exciting about Cincinnati sports is that they were led, and they are currently led by rookies. Spencer Steer, an incredible season in his rookie campaign. You also have Matt McClain, who's having a tremendous season. Ellie De La Cruz, one of the most electrifying, if not the most electrifying players in all of baseball. He has come up to the major league level and has made an immediate impact and has turned the Reds and that season completely around with the way he plays the game, with the way he hustles. And for any kid out there that watches Major League Baseball, please look up to Ellie De La Cruz because he plays the game exactly how anybody else should play the game of baseball. He is always hustling around the base paths, and most importantly, he is having fun with it. You play your best baseball when you're having fun. And he has been electrifying for Cincinnati. He proved that on Saturday when he stole second, third, and home, all within just a couple of pitches. Yes, you heard me right. He stole home. And then you pair him with the lineup that the Reds have been putting out, another couple of great rookies that have really stepped up of lately. How about Will Benson and what he's been able to bring to the table over the last month and a half for Cincinnati? Will Benson, this is a player that started the year in Major Leagues, had very high hopes for him, didn't pan out back in April, went down to AAA, figured it out, came back to the Major Leagues, and now he's got a batting average of right around 300. When he went down to AAA, he had a batting average of .77. .077 is what Will Benson's batting average was. Since then, he has come up, and he has just provided an immediate spark for Cincinnati, and it all started on that night where he walked off the Los Angeles Dodgers with that walk-off home run. He's another top rookie that Cincinnati that you cannot just push to the side. And you know the crazy thing about it is when he plays, he bats ninth. And what he brings to the table is so much more, but at the same time, that just goes to show you how lethal this Cincinnati Reds lineup is. I know they didn't show it yesterday when they lost 1-0 to the Brewers, but at the same time, it's baseball. This Cincinnati Reds lineup is probably the most fun lineup I think I personally have ever seen in my entire life. Now, I will say I wasn't around for the 1990 World Series. I wasn't around for the 75 and the 76 World Series. I'm a little bit of a youngin', but during my lifetime, from the early 2000s up until now, I think that this is the most exciting and electrifying Reds lineup that they've put out there on the field. You can make an argument back in 2012, the year that Cincinnati ended up losing to the Giants in the NLDS. That was a fun lineup to watch too. But the way that Cincinnati has built and has gone through this rebuilding time has been nothing short of special. And it has been fun to watch. You also have some young pitchers that are really, really stepping up as well, especially Andrew Abbott. Abbott did not pitch the greatest in Milwaukee on Friday, And he'll be the first one to tell you that. But at the same time, what he's been able to bring to the table, especially with some of the injuries to Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Ashcraft spent some time on the IL. He's been phenomenal. He has been what Cincinnati has needed. And it's only going to get better. The bullpen has held strong for Cincinnati this season. And again, the depth is only going to get better. Cincinnati is expected to get both Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo back in early August. Those are the reports that are floating out right now, that here in August, Lodolo and Green will be back in that rotation. So then you take a look at who you have on the rotation, and your top 4 pitchers are Green, Lodolo, Abbott, and Ashcraft. Ben Lively has also proven that he can be in that top 5 rotation. I'm really, really liking what I'm also seeing and within the growth of Brandon Williamson. Cincinnati is winning games, and they have more in the tank, not just in their starting pitching rotation, and not just when we see a lot of the guys that are in the starting rotation possibly be moved to the bullpen later in the season, but also in the starting lineup, where you have Christian Encarnacion Strand, who has been worthy of being called up to the big leagues now for probably over the last 2 months. Cincinnati just has not been able to find a way to get him up there because of the lineup that they have in the big leagues. Now, I will say this, you can only contain him for so long, and, as we move into the trade deadlines, there's going to be a lot of rumors circling around his name if he's going to be the one going or staying. But in reality, he's too important of a piece of your future to be letting walk away. He should not be. Now, obviously, I'm not in management for the Reds or anything like that. But in my opinion, I don't think you can move Christian Encarnacion Strand at the deadline. He provides too much of an important piece moving forward with this franchise. And not only that, but he will be providing that important piece. Again, you can only contain him for so long, but because the Reds lineup has been so well over the last month and a half or so, there hasn't been a spot for him. That doesn't mean that the Reds won't open one up, and I truly, truly believe that we will see him in a Cincinnati Reds uniform probably before August begins. The spot he's going to take, that's up in the air, because it seems like everybody right now is contributing for Cincinnati. And that's what makes this young group of kids so fun to watch. The way that they contribute. And like I said before, they have a 1-game lead in the division heading into the All-Star break. When was the last time Cincinnati's been able to say that? It's been a while. And not to mention, the second-place team that they play, they have 3-game series coming right out of the All-Star break. Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Milwaukee Brewers at home. That could possibly be the series of the season. But Cincinnati, this is a young team that plays like veterans. And when you have that going for you, a young team that plays like veterans, and a team that does not know that they are young, that is dangerous. That is a very, very, very dangerous combination. The way that they've been aggressive on the base paths, the way that they've been able to really just present themselves at the big league level. They don't look like a team full of rookies. And then some of the veteran leadership that's on that team that's been provided. Tyler Stevenson's really been getting hot as of lately. Joey Votto has come up and has provided a nice spark. Jonathan India, I'd love to see the Cincinnati Reds take him out of the 3-hole. I'd love to see him go back to the leadoff spot because that's where he's been thriving, not just this season, but his entire career. But at the same time, he's also provides a locker room presence, and I know heading into the deadline, there's going to be some names around him. And I've talked about it before on this show, but he ultimately is your leader of that team. Cincinnati has something very, very well cooking. They've been making history. Franchise record 23 straight games with a home run. Ellie De La Cruz hitting for the cycle a couple weeks ago. This team that Cincinnati has been breaking records left and right that hasn't been broken since the Big Red Machine, or are the first team to break it in franchise history. Something's cooking in Cincinnati. And you know, the Cincinnati Reds, a little bit of what they remind me of right now could be, I don't want to compare them to what this franchise is doing right now. But Cincinnati, the young caliber team that they have, reminds me a lot of the 2018 Braves that ultimately started that long run that they've had over the last 5-6 years. 2017, the Atlanta Braves struggled. They did not have a great season. 2018, that's when we started to see a lot of the playmakers and young guys start coming up to the big leagues. Had a very, very good, successful season. 2019, they were close to a World Series. 2020, they were close to a World Series. 2021, they won the World Series. 2022, they lost to the hottest team in baseball that went to the World Series. In 2023, now they're the best team in baseball. And this Cincinnati Reds team is showing me some of the same vibes that we saw on that 2018 Braves team, which ultimately started this long run of dominant teams that they've had. And that's something special. Cincinnati's in a good spot. All-Star break. Alexis Diaz, the lone All-Star for Cincinnati. Probably were a couple outliers that should have been in. But Cincinnati and the Cincinnati Reds are first place heading in to the All-Star break. A lot more MLB talk coming up when we return. When we return, we'll talk about the Cincinnati Reds and the draft that they've had through the first couple of days. We'll talk about that, and then we'll close out with some of the boat racing here on the TKTS Sports Network. We're paused, and we'll be back here in a few moments as we are now halfway done with our show. Second half coming up next.
At McAfee, we understand that life doesn't stop when something in your home breaks down.
It's okay.
Our customers count on us to be there, ready when they need us.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, sir, I have all the information I need.
Great, thanks. Just lock the door on the way out.
Thank you.
Let us get your home up and running again. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
Helping anything, Gigi?
At McAfee, we understand that life doesn't stop when something in your home breaks down.
Go. It's okay. Just...
Our customers count on us to be there, ready when they need us.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, sir, I have all the information I need.
Great, thanks. Just lock the door on the way out.
Thank you.
Let us get your home up and running again. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
The TKDS Sports Network has now launched its 24-hour sports channel. Enjoy 24 hours of nonstop sporting events, including a variety of high school, collegiate, and professional events. TKDS will also have a variety of events in the summer, ranging from golf to boat racing. Also, our on-demand events are only a click away. Never miss another event we cover again with our new 24-hour platform and on-demand services. We welcome you back here to the TKDS Sports Network. The MLB draft started last night with the first couple of rounds happening last night, continuing on through the day. And first off and foremost, we want to say congratulations to Springboro High School, A.J. Ewing. A.J. Ewing, who attended Springboro High School, he was a shortstop, and he was just drafted in the 4th round earlier today by the New York Mets. So, congratulations to A.J. Ewing. I know we've talked about him a little bit on the show, but nonetheless, the Cincinnati Reds, we just talked about what they have right now presently and what they have also behind them in AAA. Not even mentioning that we completely forgot about Connor Phillips, who's in AA, and also Noel V. Marte, who just played in the Futures games, who's in AAA. Cincinnati has added quite a bit of talent within this draft as well. Their first round overall pick, the 7th overall pick of the draft, they ended up picking up Rhett Lauder from Wake Forest. Rhett Lauder, a right-handed pitcher who, no doubt in my mind, is going to be an absolute stud. In the 2nd round, 38th pick in the draft, Cincinnati selected starting pitcher Ty Floyd from LSU. And with the 43rd pick, Cincinnati ended up selecting shortstop Sammy Stafura. He went to Walter Panis High School in New York. And then today in the 74th pick, Cincinnati picked Arkansas pitcher Hunter Holland. And then they also picked up Cole Schoenwetter as well. So Cincinnati has made it known that the overall theme within this year's draft has been going for starting pitching. And that ultimately raises some possibilities that Cincinnati may have over the next couple of years. Cincinnati, obviously, they have Hunter Green signed to a 7-year deal. They marked that contract down early in April. Hunter Green will be a Cincinnati Red for the next 7 years. He's your long-term pitcher. He's your long-term ace. So ultimately, when you take a look at long-term in the future, now you have those rookies that I just mentioned in that starting rotation, Rhett Lauder, Ty Floyd, Hunter Holland, and then you also compare them with some of the guys that are battling it out for spots right now, or prospects, such as Chase Petty, Connor Phillips, and then players that are right now in Major League Baseball, such as Graham Ashcraft, Andrew Abbott, Brandon Williamson, Nick Lodolo. Cincinnati, there's no doubt about it that they have absolutely stacked that farm system with some high prospect pitching. Assuming that they turn out. All those pitchers that I just mentioned, I truly, truly believe will turn out to be solid Major League Baseball pitchers. Obviously, Major League and the Major League Draft, it's so big that you have, unfortunately, when it comes to Major League Baseball, unlike the NBA Draft or the NFL Draft or the NHL Draft, you have a lower success rate when it comes to Major League Baseball. Meaning, some of the draft picks, unfortunately, most draft picks when it comes to Major League Baseball do not work out. But I truly believe that Cincinnati has done a great job going out and finding talent that they could fit in Cincinnati. And not only that, the common theme that they're going with is polished college arms, meaning that we could start seeing some of these guys as early as late next season. We could start seeing these guys in 2025 as consistent starters in the rotation. So when you take a look at the long-term effect, ultimately, what does that bring to the table for Cincinnati? In my opinion, I think that proves that the Cincinnati Reds, they understand that they're a young team, but here in the future, they're going to have to pay a lot of their big guys. It's the same conversation that the Cincinnati Bengals have had, and now we're at the point where Cincinnati Bengals have to start playing their young guys, such as T. Higgins, such as Joe Burrow, such as Jamar Chase, such as Logan Wilson. The Cincinnati Reds are in the same position that the Bengals were a few years ago. Cincinnati has multiple players under team control for many, many years. But at the same time, a lot of these kids out there on the field are going to deserve some good lengthy contracts. And one common theme I'm seeing, well, there's two common things I'm seeing. Right now, Cincinnati, there's no doubt about it, the depth when it comes to starting pitching has torched them at some points this season. Cincinnati went out, acquired depth. Now, it also, when you take a look at the long-term plan, to me, it shows that Cincinnati is going to focus more on retaining and spending money on that offense. And they're going to keep trying to feed the Major League system with pitchers. There's no doubt about it. I do believe that some of the pitchers that I mentioned just a few moments ago will make a move to the bullpen. There's also some that could be used as trade bait either this season or next season at the trade deadline. That's something to keep an eye out on. But now you have Hunter Green is locked in. But now in the future, here in 4 to 5 years, you have 4 to 5 spots open for a consistent starting rotation. And now you're going to have Floyd, Holland, Lauder, Petty, Phillips, Abbott, Lodolo, Ashcraft, all battling it out. 8 pitchers, 4 spots. Hunter Green's locked in long term. I would absolutely love, and this is just me speaking here, I would love to see a Cincinnati Reds rotation that featured Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo, because Nick Lodolo has proven himself. Now, he has had a past of injuries, and that also raises a question if Nick Lodolo could, in the next couple of years, be the odd man out. They signed Hunter Green to the long-term deal, and now with all these pitching prospects coming up, given Lodolo's injury history, and considering that Green was given the long-term deal, Nick Lodolo's going to want a lot of money as well, and he's worth it. He will be worth it in the next couple of years. That also raises a question on if him or players such as Ashcraft could be odd men out. When it comes to Lodolo, I think you need him in that rotation. We've only seen a glimpse of his potential. I'd love to see Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo as your 1 and 2. Andrew Abbott has proven that he is a guy that could stick in the big leagues for quite some time. I'd love to see him in that rotation as well. So ultimately, that answers the question, who are the last 2 spots? Rhett Lauder, he was the 7th overall pick for a reason. I think you slide him up there. And I'm really, really, really high on what Connor Phillips brings to the table. When you take a look at long-term, that's who I think Cincinnati should possibly be looking at long-term. And then that 6th man, when you need it, I'd love to see Ty Floyd get some innings. I'd also love to see Graham Ashcraft stick around. A lot of those guys will also be moved to the bullpen as well. Some of the candidates that I think could be possibly moved to the bullpen in the next couple of years could possibly be Graham Ashcraft, could possibly be Brandon Williamson. And I think both of those pitchers would absolutely thrive in the bullpen. Point is, Cincinnati had one of the best, if not the best, farm systems heading into this season. Their guys come up, graduated to the big leagues, Cincinnati replenishes. That is a great sign moving forward for the Cincinnati Reds. And no matter how you look at that organization, because it seems like this year and last year has been a completely different story, you have to give the front office and general manager Nick Krall credit. They have sped up this rebuilding time, and they have ultimately made Cincinnati and the Cincinnati Reds, hopefully, another powerhouse for years to come. Folks, we're going to take a break. We're going to step aside. When we return, we will talk about some of the TKDS boat racing season before we wrap up our show. We'll be back here coming up on Sports Now.
At McAfee, we understand that life doesn't stop when something in your home breaks down.
It's okay.
Our customers count on us to be there, ready when they need us.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, sir, I have all the information I need.
Great, thanks. Just lock the door on the way out.
Thank you.
Let us get your home up and running again. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee. At McAfee, we understand that life doesn't stop when something in your home breaks down.
It's okay.
Our customers count on us to be there, ready when they need us.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, sir, I have all the information I need.
Great, thanks. Just lock the door on the way out.
Thank you.
Let us get your home up and running again. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee. At McAfee, we understand that life doesn't stop when something in your home breaks down.
It's okay.
Our customers count on us to be there, ready when they need us.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, sir, I have all the information I need.
Great, thanks. Just lock the door on the way out.
Thank you.
Let us get your home up and running again. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
We welcome you back here to the final 10 to 15 minutes of our show. Jackson Lycap with you. Excited to bring you coverage of the next episode of Sports Now. We just went in a long conversation for about the last 45 minutes or so of the Cincinnati Reds. And you know what? When we head into our show next week, I'm sure that since Matt Pennington hasn't been here for quite some time, I'm sure that we'll spend quite a bit of time on Cincinnati as well. And also we'll be able to take a glance at where Cincinnati sits after another weekend series coming up against the Milwaukee Brewers. So Big series coming up against the Milwaukee Brewers upcoming this weekend at Great American Ballpark. But let's move on and let's talk about some professional boat racing. TKDS Sports Network has been really all over the nation this season covering professional boat racing, including just getting back from a National Boat Racing Association race that was held in Stigler, Oklahoma. Kevin and I both went to that one out in Stigler, Oklahoma, had a great time. Didn't get home until 5 a.m. last night. It was a bear getting back, but we got home safe and sound and had a great weekend as well with it. The MBRA race down in Stigler, Oklahoma ran 22 heats on Saturday. They ran 9 yesterday, meaning that they ended up running 31 total heats of racing. And I'll tell you what, the star of the show was that What's Up Doc team. Rick Miller and Braxton Miller have proven year in and year out to be the real deal within the NBRA. One of the reasons why they've gone back and forth in High Point Championships. One of the reasons why they dominated the weekend as well. Those two racers are phenomenal to watch out for moving forward within the NBRA. NBRA races, they will have 3 more races to go in a circuit this season. The circuit that I'm most involved with is the U.S. Title Series. U.S. Title Series is a pro class of boats that are out there, hydroplanes and runabouts, and we also will see the U.S. Title Series. They will have their nationals coming up at Lake Depew later this month, the last weekend of July. That crowd will be phenomenal. We're expecting anywhere between 5,000 and 15,000 fans there at the shores of the lake watching these boat races run for the U.S. Title Series Nationals. They just got done with their 3rd race of a 6-series circuit in Constantine, Michigan a couple weekends ago, and I was there. I was able to announce that event, and that was an incredible event. And a couple of storylines taken out of there was we saw a lot of the division leaders fall. A lot of the division leaders, after Pineville, their first race, and Pleasant Prairie, their second race, fell this weekend. And not only that, but that adds up some great upcoming racing for the rest of the season, including Depew and the national championships. We saw a lot of the guys who had potential to possibly take first in the division and within the standings within that class of boats take first in Constantine, first or second. And that's ultimately just going to absolutely throw off some of the standings. And it's really setting up some great stories upcoming for Lake Depew and Depew, Illinois here at the end of the month. Of course, if you want to watch any more, if you want to see any more of the boat races and see when they are upcoming, make sure to visit boatracing.tkdssports.com. Once again, that's www.boatracing.tkdssports.com. Or if you want any other information on professional boat racing, and if you can't get enough of it, make sure to tune in tomorrow night to the PowerMist Power Hour held at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, hosted by Ray Rada. Super excited that tomorrow I will also be a host, or I will be a guest on that show. Super excited to be able to sit down and talk to Ray. Ray Rada, he was been the retired announcer for the U.S. Title Series and ultimately deemed the voice of boat racing, and it's been a great blessing being able to really just follow in his footsteps, and he has helped me in so many ways. Just learn the sport, learn some of the racers. He has helped me in so many ways, and I am super excited to have the opportunity to sit down with him and be a guest on his show, the PowerMist Power Hour, tomorrow at 8 p.m. So if anybody wants to watch that, we'll be live tomorrow right here on the TKDS Sports Network, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But once again, if you want to watch any more boat racing, visit www.boatracing.tkdssports.com. Going back to what we were able to see in Stigler, Oklahoma, it was a great weekend. Again, 31 heats of racing. Long drive, but it was worth it. And what an incredible event that Stigler, Oklahoma was able to put on. Fans were up on the shoreline. The racers had a great time. The weather held off just enough so that we were able to get some racing in. And it was just ultimately a very fun and very good time. But anyway, that should do it for our boat racing subject. And yeah, ultimately, right now, again, we mentioned the beginning of the show, TKDS Sports Network Sports Now is trying to gear up and get ready for another upcoming season. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary, our 1-year birthday of this show being born here on August 1st. So we're going to talk a lot about that, and once we head into the month of August, we're going to have a lot more moving forward with this show. A lot more traction, hopefully, a lot more special guests. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful season upcoming. Also, once we hit that time, we'll have a couple of weeks before football season will start. That's when we'll really start prepping the upcoming football season coming up here for the 2023-2024 season. We'll have Matt Pennington back here on the show next week. Excited to have him back. I know that we've been talking quite a bit, and he's been missing being able to do the show. And he was supposed to be here the last couple of weeks, but then, of course, I had some things come up, so unfortunately, he was not able to be here today. Our schedules just aren't aligning right now, but super excited to have him back on the show here coming up in, hopefully, T-minus